Okay, so for today's deep dive, we're looking at a stack of sources on the Gulzar Mahal in Bahawalpur, Pakistan.
Right.
And one of them calls it a silent sentinel. I love that description.
It fits perfectly.
So our mission today is to figure out why this huge, absolutely beautiful architectural masterpiece built in the early 1900s is basically hidden from the public.
It's such a fascinating case. I mean, usually when we talk about palaces from this period, they're museums now, right?
Yeah,
Big tourist spots.
exactly.
But Gulzar Mahal is, well, it's different. It was commissioned by Nawab Sadiq Muhammad Khan V between 1906 and 1909.
And from the very start, it was designed for a really specific and very private purpose.
Absolutely.
Looking at these layouts, it wasn't just a royal home. It was built specifically as a sanctuary for the women of the royal family.
And that's the key.
Yeah.
This goes way beyond just being a nice place to live. The architecture itself is built around the whole concept of purdah.
Privacy, dignity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The whole structure was designed to prioritize the protection and, the seclusion of the royal women. It engineered a whole lifestyle.
And you can really see that balance of seclusion and grandeur in the style. I mean, the sources call it a fusion.
Which is very telling.
On one hand, you have these huge domes, these Indo-Islamic features that look very traditional for the area.
But then you look closer at the facades in these photos.
And there's this really clear European classical influence.
That fusion is so significant. It tells you a lot about the Nawabs of Bahawalpur.
Yeah.
They weren't just, copying one style.
They were making a statement.
A hybrid. By bringing in European aesthetics, they were signaling their modern outlook, their engagement with global powers like the British Empire. It's a political statement in brick and stone.
It makes sense. It's part of the larger Bahawalpur Palace complex right next to the Durbar and Nushat Mahals.
Correct. But the interior is where it gets really spectacular.
Okay, let's talk about the central hall, the Sheesh Mahal.
The Palace of Mirrors. This is probably its most striking feature.
It's unbelievable. We're not just talking about a few mirrors on the wall. The notes say the walls are embedded with thousands of these tiny, tiny mirrors.
It's described as a narrative in glass.
Which is just perfect. It must have been designed to catch every single bit of light.
Well, think about it practically. This is before modern electric lighting. So you light just a few lanterns in that room.
And the reflections would just multiply it.
Infinitely. It would look like stars scattered all across the walls and ceiling. The architecture itself becomes the source of illumination. It's brilliant.
But then the research points out this sharp contrast when you go upstairs.
Right, that's where the function changes.
You leave this glittering, super opulent hall, you go up the grand staircase, and suddenly the design is much simpler.
Because that was the private living area. The ground floor was for show, for art, for spectacle. The upper floors were for living.
So they were designed to be airy, lots of natural light and ventilation.
For comfort, to keep the environment cool and livable.
And then wrapping around this entire building is what one writer called a natural siege of greenery.
The gardens, the final layer of the sanctuary.
It sounds like the landscaping was just as important as the actual walls in creating that private space.
Absolutely. The gardens provided a visual and, importantly, a sonic barrier. A sort of wall of tranquility to make sure the outside world didn't intrude.
So you have this perfect sanctuary built for extreme privacy back in 1909. And what's so interesting is that this strict privacy is still in place today, but for a totally different reason.
A very different reason.
It's not about royalty anymore. The notes say the Pakistan Army took custody of the building around 1966.
And that's what explains its mystery today. That's why it's a hidden chapter. You can't just buy a ticket and walk in.
Because it's an active military site.
Precisely. It's been preserved almost like a time capsule, but it also has this allure of being a forbidden treasure.
They do grant special permission sometimes, though, for scholars and researchers, so it's not completely sealed off.
No, but it's certainly not on the tourist map. And in a way, that restricted access has kept it frozen in time.
Gulzar Mahal isn't just a building anymore. It's a preserved moment of a royal lifestyle.
That mix of extreme luxury and extreme privacy maintained for over a century.
It really makes you think about the value of these hidden histories, doesn't it? I mean, does the fact that Gulzar Mahal is secluded, that it's waiting behind this veil, does that actually make its beauty more profound?
That's a great question. Perhaps it's more of a precious secret than just another crowded landmark.
Something to think about. Sometimes the mystery is just as important as the masonry.